You okay? Well, good morning. Good morning. Do we have a treat today? So I invited my friend Myrna to share with you something that I wish I would have had when I first started online marketing. And that is, how the heck do you write emails? Now, that might sound kind of weird, but it's not really. There's a difference I learned between writing emails like you and I write to each other and marketing emails. So the other day, Myrna and I were talking, and this subject came up, and she said, "Oh, I have something." I'm like, "No way." So without further ado, I would like to introduce Smyrna. She is a retired U.S. Public Health Service officer who worked with in the Native American communities in the U.S. for 20 years. After she retired, she, like many of us, she wasn't done. She still had a desire to keep serving. So now she took that to a whole other level. She moved to Nicaragua, and around the world, she helps women empower themselves in their faith and their business journeys. So, Myrna, welcome.
Thank you.
And just so you know, who's probably out there watching are people like you and me, the
Mhm.
everyday entrepreneur who maybe is just starting, or maybe like me, is in 15 years and finally figuring it out. And I'd like you to first of all dive into your story a little bit deeper and let us get a flavor of Myrna.
Okay. Well, I fit very well with you, Carla, because we are what? The rebel rousers in one group.
Mhm.
Um, but I retired at the age of 50, and I worked for the public health service. And so I was a commissioned officer and I had DOD benefits. So I was able to retire after 20 years. Not that anybody needed to know that, I guess, but my kids had left home and I retired, and then it was kind of like it's cold in South Dakota in the winter. Why do I need to get out of bed? So I started looking for ways to serve. And like you, I got involved in network marketing and eventually affiliate marketing and doing business in the online space. And at one point, I had a coach that said, "Well, you need to be sending nurture emails." And I'm like, what is a nurture email? I don't know what that is. And I still didn't know. I tried to follow her style and I just didn't like it really. And in the last year, well, it's been 2 years that I've been working with the person that is my coach and your coach right now. And I started learning her email system and the way she writes emails. And I thought, that is so different. And what I learned is this: the emails need to be from your heart, and it gives your audience a way to get to know you. So, for instance, let's say I'm participating in a bundle in a month. When I do, the people who choose to grab my bundle or my product may not know anything about me or care to begin with because they just want the product, right? And so it's up to me to connect with those people. And it's the same with you. And so I was like you, Carla. I was writing these emails that I thought were marketing emails, and they didn't get opened. And if we're going to market, we need to open the email and or get them to open them. And one of the cool things I learned as I was working on this product is that email marketing has a return on investment of 3,600%. So for every dollar you spend on email marketing, $36 comes back to you. That is
Wow.
wow. Yeah, I couldn't believe that when I saw that. And many people buy based on the influence of the email. So that I got all that from the internet. I looked all that up just to see what the stats were and things. But what I learned, I put together from what I learned, I put together a product of 12 email setups, I guess, or prompts. So it has the subject line, which is really a hook that pulls people in. It's a question or a kind of a cliffhanger so that people will want to see, okay, well, what's in that email? And then you get a story prompt, you get questions to help you delve into your story. And then I give you suggestions for calls to action because all of those things are important to a good email because you're not just writing an email to the masses. You're writing an email to one person. And that's how we have to think about it. And so some of the tips I learned along the way, Carla, are we don't include, our email systems all have, I talk with my hands, I'm sorry, it's bad on a video. But our email systems all include a place where you can add the name, automatically add the name. But I've learned not to include the name at all because we have no control over how people are going to sign up to our email list. And some of them sign up with maybe not the best name, and you don't want that in their email. And you have no control over it if you do the electronic. So you get rid of the name and you just start with talking to that one person, you. And it really makes it a lot more fun. The other thing I knew is I love to write, I love to tell stories, but not everyone does. It's hard for people. So I set it up with the story prompts and the questions to help you write your story. So you'll get that in a PDF. I can give you that today in a link and you'll see how to use them. You'll get a month or a weekly email that reminds you, hey, have you sent out your email today? And some tips that I will include in there because I have other tips too. So
Okay. All right. And what I'll do is in the comments, when I post this, I'll put that link and how they can get in touch with you. That I have to tell you, I'm gonna be the first one in line. I just really have been thinking back on my journey, and I I found holes in it.
oh,
And those holes are the pieces that weren't just missing puzzle pieces. They were the glue to the whole thing. And that's email.
right, right. And email is so key. And I have avoided it until I've learned how to do this because I was like, well, what am I going to send people? I don't want to just always email them when there's something to sell. And what I learned from watching our coach is she gives stuff away. She just gives you great value. In the email, she'll sell you something sometimes if you want it, but you don't have to buy it. But it's done in such a way that it is meant to connect heart to heart with you as an individual. And that's really what I wanted to do. And if you like these emails, if you use them for 12 weeks and you decide you want more, I have more packages you can get later on. This happens to be complimentary so that you can test it out and see how it works for you.
Oh, that's wonderful. That is wonderful.
And,
Wonderful.
and then I also have some holiday email setups and some other things. So that,
Will be so helpful because and speaking of the holidays, I don't know about you, but it seems like I know we get marketing emails year
yeah,
round, but man, during the holidays, it's like three and four from the same person every day. It's
right.
exponentially grows. And so, as a marketer, how do you even compete with that? So, so you have to make the most
Mhm.
of one email.
Exactly. And if you can compete with it, if you have made that connection individually in those nurturing emails. And otherwise, people aren't going to open the email. They're just going to say, oh, it bugs you that you get this email and you're like me and you get a zillion emails backed up in your email folder, you
I
know.
just do at the top, click delete all.
I
And
don't
then I
do
wish
that.
I hadn't done that.
I kind of sort through mine, um but anyway, I just really wanted to help people with their email because when I learned this, it helped me a lot. So whether you're a writer, storyteller, or not, these will work for you. And I will get you the link, Carla, and you can put it in the comments.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So if if you were going to share one thing that our viewers out there, the everyday entrepreneur, women, even men, one thing about Myrna,
Oh,
what should we know and hold on to?
oh my. Oh my. Well, I will tell you. So a lot of people think that by moving to Nicaragua, we had to have a lot of courage. And we did for a lot of reasons, mostly because it took a lot of courage to sell our house, to sell our belongings, and to move to a foreign country. But I felt called to do it. So it was not so much courage as not a choice. And I didn't feel, I felt like, I mean, there's one thing when a parent calls you or a child and says, you have to do this. But when when the thing that you worship, God or whatever you worship says, go, then you go. And since we got here, so this is the deep dark thing I'm going to share with you. Since we got here, I have slowly let go of that strength. And I went through a season where I was sick for about 6 months, 3 to 6 months, had to depend completely on my husband. He had to take care of me totally. And I just really lost a lot of that inner strength. And I recently was on a webinar and I asked a question about where is that person? And I was told I need to become my own mama bear. And so I am working on that. I have made great inroads and I am writing a book about how to be your own mama bear. So, um, you know, there have been times, I'll give you an example. This is the kind of thing that I've done in the past that I might not do today if it weren't for refinding my mama bear. It's easy to be a mama bear to your kids, your grandkids, people around you. But one year we were in Nicaragua for one of our short-term mission trips, and we we went to a mission compound where we were staying, unpacked our bags, and then walked up to a Subway sandwich shop. When you go into something that you're used to from your home country, you let your guard down. And we knew that petty theft was the number one crime here. There's not violent crime, it's petty theft, people just trying to survive. And I let my guard down and I hung my purse on the back of the chair. And the pastor's daughter had traveled with me, so she knew what my purse looked like. She recognized it. And so at one point she said, "Where's your purse?" And I looked at the back of the chair and it was gone. And I saw a lady walking out of the Subway with it. Carla, I chased her to her car. She got in the car, closed the door, and I got the car door open. Whether that was wise or not, I wouldn't maybe do that today. But my passport was in there. My keys were in there. My money, all kinds of stuff was in that purse. And I was bound and determined to get it back. I never did. So that was,
Ooh,
yeah. And I was able to, we took measures in case passports disappeared or something, so that I still had a copy of my passport and I could get a replacement at the embassy. Took a day. Took a day, well, half a day to do all of the paperwork at the embassy and then go through Nicaragua customs and immigration and all of that. But I don't know if I would have had the guts to do that 6 months ago. But I now do. I mean, I just, life's too short to not be yourself. And I am not uh, a wilting flower. I am I'm a kick butt kind of mama. And
there
so
you go. And that's why we get along.
that is right. That is right. And
Yeah.
we are both sassy and snarky together. So we have a blast together. So
Mhm.
that probably was longer than you wanted, but
It's
that's,
okay. No, I can't believe you didn't get your purse back even after getting the door open.
they
How
took
did,
off.
so tell me, I gotta know more. How did you got the door open, but you didn't get the purse back? How does
So
that work?
they drove off. And they were clearly prepared. It was a
Oh,
planned thing. They had backed up to the sidewalk, the curb, and so they made it easy for themselves. Um, but people I was on the team with were like, they could have jerked you in the car or anything. And interestingly enough, we went to church that night and one of the young men on our team had told my son he would take care of me on this trip, right? And he memorized that license plate. He's now a police officer, but we saw that car at the church we went to that night. And it was a little unnerving because a couple of the males on this trip are pretty angry. So, so yeah, one of the pastors had to make sure that he got my son's friend in the church and not out there wanting to do damage to someone who had taken my purse. But we had to replace, so it had our, these fancy cars now have these key fobs. Now they're probably even less. We had to replace the key fob for our vehicle. We had to replace the keys. um, I had to get a temporary passport, and that was, like I say, very interesting and fun. But there's a lot to that story, but it was very emotional, Carla. I felt
oh
like
yeah.
someone had done something to me, which they had. And
Mhm.
but I was ready. I mean, I grew up in southeastern Oklahoma. I was ready to take them on. It was like, you messed with the wrong woman here. I may be white, but don't be messing with me.
Yeah. They saw you coming.
Oh yeah, because we
Yeah.
all went in there. This was a known area for missionaries, for short-term missionaries. We went in there with a group of 20 people. it was very obvious that they saw us go in there. And when I went to the embassy to work on that stuff, one of the ladies that waited on me at the embassy, which it was close by, she said, "Oh my gosh, I go there to lunch all the time." And it's like, well, I'd be careful. But I, to this day, do not let my purse out of my sight. I will wear it somehow on my body or something. So,
Boy, that's, see, you never know what you're going to get.
no,
And and there is a travel tip along with an email tip.
exactly.
And what I love is having learned that when we share from the heart and share our story and real life experiences,
Right.
we automatically help other people.
Exactly, because there are other women who have changed their whole personality to be liked and not to be themselves, which is what I did.
Yeah.
You know, I worked in with a bunch of men. You worked with a bunch of women, which would have been harder, but I had to be very blunt and very no messing around, you know. And I supervised people that were much older than me who outranked me even. And it took a lot of that personality to do that, but I got tired of that. I wanted to not be that person who was considered the woman that started with a B.
Yeah.
And
It's exhausting.
it's exhausting, but I wanted myself back. I wanted that woman back who chased them for her purse.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to be afraid. I want to live my life.
Yeah. That's right. That
Mhm.
is so awesome. Well, Myrna, I know time is precious and I actually have to get back to work. So I want to thank you so much. And no crowding in line, friends. I get the first set. So,
Sounds good, Carla. Thank you.
so I so appreciate you sharing and thank you too for putting this email guide together, the prompts. Oh, I have a question before you go. You said these are prompts, so you don't write the emails for us.
No.
We write the emails. Can we use these prompts with Chat GPT?
Certainly, you can use
Okay.
anything with that. And a lot of times I'll write my story, and I'm a very wordy writer. And so I will take my story and put it in Chat GPT and say, can you kind of make this more concise and clear? Because I tend to do all these passive verbs and things, and it's like, no. And so it really, I'm always amazed at how well it rewrites it. So definitely.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome.
All right.
Okay. Well, my friend out there, if you have a business, want a business, you're gonna need these emails.
Mhm.
So take Myrna up on her gracious gift, and we will see you on the next guest show. Bye.
Bye.